Hello, welcome back to our series, The Time of Revelation. This is Donna D'Angelo, founder of the Institute of Christ Consciousness. I'm so happy to be back with you to share additional information about this wonderful period that we are undergoing at this time. In my introduction, I mentioned a revelatory text that is so important for us to be aware of because it contains so much information that is pertinent to what we are undergoing at this time. This beautiful book contains incredible information about the nature of deity, who we are as children of God, our evolutionary plan of ascension, our place in the greater design of life, what our planet is and how it became the way it is today and what we're presently undergoing. And there's also a part about the life and teachings of Jesus, which far encompasses anything in the biblical account of his life. This book, as I said, is very powerful. When I was first introduced to it as a very young woman in 1975, I had a very visceral reaction to it. When I opened the pages, my truth bells were ringing. Ding, ding, ding. You found what you were looking for. And this was after many years of questioning the nature of reality, even the existence of God, even though I believed in God and believed in Jesus, but I didn't understand from what I was being taught in my Christian religion of things that just did not make sense to me. I went through 2 years of catechism, and the theology was not very vibrant. I didn't really resonate with it. But when I found the Urantia book, my whole world changed, and I found what I was looking for. And I'm so happy to share this with you because this book is one of the most comprehensive revelatory information that we have access to at this time. It is not the complete picture of reality, but for right now, here and now, and what we're undergoing, it provides the most comprehensive picture of reality and goes into great detail of what this planet is and what happened to it that has led us to this point of where we are undergoing a massive transformational time. So, with that being said, let me try to describe this book to you. First of all, the name is the Urantia book, and it's spelled Urantia. Urantia is the name of our planet in the Registry of the Cosmos, and you can find it on several websites. Truthbook.com, urantiabook.org are two of the websites where you can peruse the contents of the book and check out the table of contents and review some information on there that provides you with some introductory information about the book. The book is divided into four parts. The first part goes into the nature of reality that exists in perfection, the existential level where our creator deities exist. And there are three coordinate deities: the universal or paradise Father, the eternal Mother Son, and the infinite Spirit. Now, this is not the same Trinity as in Christianity. This is a little bit of an expansion because these deity persons live on paradise, that world, if you will, that is perfect. Everything that exists on paradise is perfect. It has always existed. There is no beginning, there is no ending. It is existentially perfect and complete and replete. The three paradise deities form into various interassociations, creating a wide variety of children or spiritual personalities who are then charged with taking their function out into another level of reality, which you might call the evolutionary or time-space level of reality, and this is the level in which we live. We will one day venture on a wonderful journey toward paradise, but right here and now we are present on this planet. The two creator deities, the Paradise or Universal Father and the Eternal Mother Son, might be considered the father and mother of all creation. The Eternal Mother Son and Paradise Father combined to create a divine being who then is charged with leaving the perfect realm to embark upon an evolutionary adventure in the time-space reality to create a home for a wide variety of personalities, including we as humans and our cosmic off-planet brothers and sisters. And there is another coordinate deity, the infinite spirit, as the third person of the Trinity, is the originator of consciousness, that which we call mind, that gives us the ability to think, feel, and act. We would not be alive if we did not have this spirit within us. The infinite spirit creates another personality known as the Holy Universe Mother Spirit that combines and acts as a spouse to the personality of the Divine Father who originates from the first and second um, paradise deity. So these two spirit beings, they are perfect, they are beautiful, they are good, they are loving, they are incredibly powerful, and they form the context for divine parentage for a time-space universe such as the one in which we live. Now, our Father is called Christ Michael, and he actually incarnated here on this world as Jesus over 2,000 years ago to do two things: to show us the loving nature of our Creator, and to show our Creator how humans can reach and achieve a state of Christ consciousness, becoming aware of their divine inheritance. The Divine Mother is the universe womb of consciousness. She lays down what you might call her consciousness circuits that pervade all of our universe home and provides us the environment in which to evolve. As I mentioned in my first video of the time of revelation, we are given an I am presence, which provides us the selfhood in which we evolve our souls. Our souls evolve through our choices, becoming more godlike. And the indwelling spirit acts as a thought adjuster. It is a gift within our personalities that helps us to discern what is real, what is true, and what is aligned in the divine will of all reality. So these two personalities, the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, are our spirit parents for our evolutionary careers through the universe of their home. Now, one day we will leave that universe home and go on a much larger evolutionary adventure, exploring larger realms of space, that one day we will eventually ascend to paradise and be received into the Paradise Trinity embrace. This is our destiny, and there are further destinies beyond that if we choose the path of righteousness and ascension. In part two, the nature of our divine parents is very well laid out for us to understand who they are and our relationship to them. And at the ICC, in the healing work that I do, I hold space for people to be reparented by our loving spirit parents who know you better than you know yourself, who know everything that has happened to you during your lifetime, and want to bring you back to the divine patterns of your existential selfhood, your I am presence, so that you can grow your soul and become more of who you are in your beautiful spiritual, creative, and intellectual potential. So, part two goes into great detail about the nature of this time space universe reality in which we live. It goes and explains uh, about the wide variety of worlds we will encounter, especially the mansion worlds where we will ascend to after we leave our physical bodies. And this is very important to mention because life does go on. We ascend into higher levels of consciousness where we are given new vehicles for our souls to inhabit, to navigate these realms of higher consciousness. Jesus spoke about these mansion worlds when he said, "In my Father's house there are many mansions. If this was not true, I would have told you so." And so these mansion worlds are the training ground for our universe career. And so we ascend to these worlds, and sometimes people need healing after they have their life review to understand what happened to them on this world so they can outwork the negative influences of their lives and move forward on their ascension journeys to explore higher realms, higher worlds, and meet wonderful, loving new personalities who will all add to your soul growth. This part also goes into a level of reality that describes how the universe is administered into subsections. And there is a subsection of our universe that is called the system. And this system has a spiritual administrator, I'm sorry. And the story in the Urantia book talks about how our system administrator did not like the divine plan of evolution and decided to take our world and 37 other worlds within his domain of administration off the divine timeline. And this being was called Lucifer. And our planet was involved in what we call the Lucifer Rebellion. And this is very important to understand because this is where all of the problems that we have now originated. Many people are wondering, how did we get to be such a planet of war and poverty and illness and other, very, very destructive energies? And this is the inception. This happened on our planet 200,000 years ago. And I will talk about this in greater detail because there's a lot to share about what happened to this planet during the period of the Lucifer Rebellion. And part of my spiritual work when I was collaborating with my spirit parents was to help me understand exactly what the damage they caused on our planet. And they took me into a realm where I saw incredible darkness, incredible evil, and I saw how they polluted our consciousness and even our DNA, which is now, fortunately, we are in the period of all this being outworked. Now, you might ask, why did it take so long if this happened 200,000 years ago? I'm speaking about that in our timeline. Divine timing is very different from human timing. And while this may have been an event that happened so far back in our ancient past that we don't even have any recollection of it, from a universe perspective, it has only happened in a very short period of time. You might say a few days or even weeks. But human consciousness had to be carefully cultivated coming out of this evil so that we could perceive a higher dimensional level of reality where goodness and love and truth and beauty are the operative energies and the function of reality. And now we are in that period called the correcting time. And in a previous series I just did and posted on my YouTube channel, I go into more detail about that correcting time period. This is a little bit of a different context of the correcting time, but it is all still tied together with the time of revelation. So, in part two, that talks about the universe level in which we live, the most relevant part to read, well, there's two relevant parts. What happens to us after we leave our physical bodies of this world and how we ascend through all these wonderful, beautiful worlds, enhancing our spirituality and our consciousness. And then, of course, the context of the Lucifer rebellion, what happened here, why he rebelled against the divine plan, and how it impacted our world and the social problems that we have arising from it. In part three, this is a fascinating account of the history of our planet, Urantia. This part goes into how our world was created, how life was originally inseminated on this planet. And then there are parts that talk into the two devastating planetary calamities that happened here 200,000 years ago and roughly 37,500 years ago, of how we continue to deviate from the divine plan. And I'll be talking about that more as we go through the series, especially about the Lucifer rebellion and how it impacted the planet in the ways we are now outworking. Part three also goes into a very serious discussion about the true nature of religion and its social implications. These are rich philosophical papers for discussion because it does help to harmonize science with philosophy and religion so that there's a much more unified picture of the nature of reality, which we are still struggling to understand. One of the things the Lucifer rebellion did in us was to separate us from our deity creator. And because of that, we have been living in a mindset of separation. When we talk, you could hear it. We think in terms of either or and not and. We have a hard time separating truth from error. We conflate ideas together that don't belong together. And these are some of the ill effects of the separation. And we are now in the process of returning to more unity consciousness, which will repair all the damage that has been done in our system of consciousness, our own individual minds, and on the planet at large. The other wonderful part about part three, is it talks about the nature of the indwelling spirit and our I am presence, our personalities, and what their function is as individuated expressions of our original creator. These are rich papers to explore about the nature of the spirit that lives within us and how it functions in our minds. And then, of course, it teaches us to make contact with the spirit. And this is one of the things we teach at the ICC, how to quiet your mind with the express intention of communicating with the indwelling spirit of God so that your I am presence can relax, feel loved and supported, helping your human self-concept move beyond the limitations of ego and come into the greater I am presence of who you truly are. There is a wealth of information in part three, and I've just given you some of the highlights of it. But my favorite part of the book, and I hope that as you read it, it will be yours too. Excuse me if I get a little emotional because this always brings me to tears when I speak of Jesus. Part four is the life and teachings of Jesus that far encompasses what is in the biblical account of his life of the Gospels and the New Testament. The life and teachings of Jesus goes into every year of his life, beginning with his incarnation in his mother Mary, with his father Joseph contributing his DNA to the growing personality of Jesus. Our Father, Christ Michael, divested himself of his divine nature to actually descend into human life, to show us the loving nature of our Creator, and for him to live a human life to demonstrate to we humans how we can grow our own Christ consciousness and become as powerful as he did in our own unique personality of our I am presence. Every year of his life is accounted for. It goes into his travels throughout the Roman Empire. It speaks about how he came into his own God consciousness. And then, of course, it is a very comprehensive account of his public ministry. He had three teaching, or I'm sorry, preaching tours that he and his apostles, both male and female, because he did commission 12 women as his female apostles. And I have written about that in my book, The Women Who Loved Jesus, which is a very comprehensive insight into the women that Jesus commissioned as his female apostles, who were of equal stature and standing as the male apostles. This is one of the more shocking things that Jesus did in his human life. But there is great meaning in why he did that, to liberate women from those feelings of being unworthy or second-class citizens that were so present at that time and are still present on our planet at this time, unfortunately. But I digress a bit here. But the beautiful thing about his public preaching tours, that the sermons and the parables he taught are so much more expansive than anything in the biblical account. And even though I was raised in the Christian church, and I did love Jesus and I did love God, it wasn't until I read the Urantia book that I could feel Jesus living within me. It changed my life in a way that made what I was learning from the intellectual study of the Urantia book so real and powerful and true that I made the decision to devote my life to sharing this information with people and to go about doing the work of healing human consciousness to bring us back to our divine inheritance. Excuse me, this always brings me to tears because it's just so powerful what this information can do for you and help you in your life, especially as we go through some challenges at this time. Just going to take a brief pause here for a moment. So, in reading the fourth part of the Urantia book, The Life and Teachings of Jesus, it will give you such a broader perspective of who he was and why he was here, and the lessons he taught us to help us emulate his role, his faith walk in becoming the most spectacular human that ever lived. And we also have that potential to be as spectacular and magnificent as our Father, brother Jesus was. The book also ends about the faith of Jesus and the unswerving devotion he had to doing the will of the Father in heaven. And this is the purpose for our lives, to become aware of our I am presence in the indwelling spirit, and to know that we are, even though we are in human bodies, we are evolving souls. This physical form is just a vehicle. We are so much more than that. And this time of revelation is here to teach us and help us remember our divine inheritance and the wonderful evolutionary ascension journey that we are making toward eternity, where we can live eternally, where we are always growing and learning and serving and sharing in the wonderment and the joys of being children of God. So I think I'll leave it here for now because this is a lot of information to absorb if you've never heard it for the first time. I will put links to the Urantia book in the description so you can check that out yourself. And also, I encourage you to check out the ICC website because I have taken a wide variety of perspectives from the Urantia book and simplified them to help you appreciate what is underway on this planet. If you go to the Institute of Christ Consciousness website, www.institutechristconsciousness.org, click on the link Living Christ Consciousness. There's a wide variety of information to help you receive more orientation to what this revelatory text has to share with you. And as always, we offer you personal transformation sessions to help you open up to your divine potential, to help you move past the interference in the mental chatter where you may not be able to perceive your indwelling spirit or your I am presence and come into greater unity with your divine source of who you are. I'm so happy to share this information with you, and I hope you found it helpful to your own spiritual journey. Next time, I'll be speaking more about the Lucifer Rebellion and the other calamity that happened on our planet. But for now, I wish you joy and peace in your heart and soul, and may you prosper and flourish in who you are as a son and daughter of God, and lead you into Christ consciousness, where you are expressing more of your true purpose of who you are and why you are here at this time. Thank you. God bless you. And goodbye for now.